Hi, my name is Sarah Gorey. I'm Director of Security Architecture at Aquia, and I'm here today to talk about security hygiene in the cloud. When considering how to secure your environment, start with the fundamentals. Focus on prioritizing your risks that would be most damaging to the organization if they were realized. Reducing and eliminating these risks are what security hygiene is all about. So what security best practices and principles should you be choosing for your security hygiene strategy? You want to select your security baseline and work towards it. How do you select your security baseline? There are industry standards out there and frameworks that you can use and adopt in your organization to help you establish that. Frameworks like Risk Management Framework, CIS, FISMA, just to name a few, and there's more out there that you can use and adopt to guide how you want to address your security hygiene. There are a couple of heavy hitters that you're going to find in any of these frameworks. Think about least privilege. Least privilege sounds easy when you hear it, but it's actually quite complex and a challenging thing to achieve. When you're managing identity and access management for an application and an environment that changes over time, it becomes quite complex. Making sure that you have the right permissions and the right guardrails in place to actually manage that identity and that folks don't retain access after they no longer need it is really where the challenge is. You can use practices like short-lived credentials and guardrails around the permissions for your identity to help work towards that least privilege. You can also use code to deploy and manage your environment. And the benefit of that is that you can entirely remove human user access from the equation. And one last thing to consider is try tagging your resources and using attribute-based access control to define that access. Moving away from identity now, you also want to think about defense in depth for your architecture. If you think about it, you don't just want to have one layer of security to protect your data, your information, and your system. If that control fails, what are you going to do? And as you design your application, you want to think about defense in depth, not just identity or any individual control. When we talk about defense in depth, we're talking about what happens when one control fails. Are you still protected? Take identity, for example. Let's say your identity credentials get compromised and now an attacker has valid, authorized access to your system. What do? You have to rely on other controls that you've implemented to protect your systems and your data. So network controls that might prevent a system from being accessible from where the attacker is trying to access it, not having that system on the internet, for example. So having a holistic approach like this is really, at the end of the day, how you're going to address these risks in your environment. If you need help with your security hygiene strategy and implementing these things in your own environment, contact us because we would love to help you.